Tomorrow is a very cool day for people in the Northern Hemisphere. Do you know what day it is?
When I have a worry-filled mind, I like to wander outside. No telling what we might find. Birds calling, worms crawling, leaves falling down from above. Oh, I plant my feet on the ground. I keep my head in the clouds. I let my feelings out loud. I hear joy calling, fear crawling, tears falling down out of love.
Welcome, friends. I'm so glad you're here. My name is Mrs. A, and I just wanted to remind you that no matter how you are feeling right now, you are welcome, and I'm really glad you've decided to join me. I want us to start off with a zones of regulation check-in. Do you see the color zones behind me? Each one represents a different way that our brain or body might be feeling. For example, the blue zone represents when we are feeling tired or slow-moving or sick. The green zone represents when we are feeling comfortable, focused, clear-headed. The yellow zone represents when we are feeling like we're starting to lose control. Maybe our thoughts are a little jumbled. Maybe our body is a little anxious or jittery. And the red zone represents when we have lost control. We are not able to think clearly. We're feeling very overwhelmed. We're having a lot of really big feelings, and we feel like we've lost control. Remember, none of these zones are good or bad. They just are. We experience lots of feelings as humans throughout the day, throughout the week. And so I always like to check in with our feelings or our zones just to help us get started and help us think about what our body is currently feeling and what it might need. So you take a moment to check in with your body. What zone are you in right now? You can grab an object that's nearby or around you that represents the color zone you're in. For example, I am feeling in the blue zone right now. I'm feeling a little bit sick, a little bit slow-moving. So I found this blue object. Have you found one? Oh, great. Thanks for grabbing an object or even just saying the color zone that you're in. That's really helpful, not just to me and the people around you, but it's actually helpful to you and your brain and your body, even if you don't realize it. Naming our feelings or our zones can help us better understand ourselves and help us better understand what we might need at that time. There are lots of different things that we might need depending on the zone that we're in or the feeling that we're feeling. For example, because I'm in the blue zone feeling sick and a little tired, I might need some extra rest today. I might need to just take a break. I might need to rest my head on my couch. I might need to take it easy. Maybe you're feeling in the yellow zone and you feel like you're losing control or your mind's a little bit confused. You might need to practice mindfulness. You might need to move your body. You might need to go get a sip of water. You might need to pet a fuzzy friend or an animal that you have in your family. There are lots of different things that we might need throughout the day, and it can change from minute to minute. And so if you need to do something to help your body feel more focused or more clear or more comfortable, then please go ahead and do that. Sometimes it's tricky throughout the day when we have a lot of things we need to do. Maybe we're in the middle of doing a class or learning a lesson. We might feel like we can't take a break right now. The other option is to take a breath. Breathing is a really great way that we can practice being mindful and refocusing our body without needing to maybe get up, go in a different space, or use any tools or materials. And so you'll notice we do lots of breathing together in a couple different ways. And maybe there are ways that you like to breathe that help refocus your body that are different than the ones we've tried. However it is helpful for you and your body is a great way to do it. Another thing that I mentioned that might be helpful is moving your body. And I like to move my body to the date. It's a helpful reminder for me to get moving, and it gives me some ideas on how I should do that because I use the numbers in our date. And so today's date where I am is 12/20/21. And that means it is December 20th, 2021. And we are reaching the end of our year. Soon it'll be a new year. But right now it is 2021, so we will be doing 12 exercises, then 20, then 21. And if you've been around recently, you know that we are practicing counting by twos. Anytime we see an even number, a number that can be split into two groups equally, anytime we see an even number, we will count by twos. That means we will skip saying all of the odd numbers. 2, 4, 6, and so on. And it's okay if you don't know how to count by twos yet. We'll keep practicing this a bit more this month and next year as well. So please, will you join me with 12 moves? Let's start with 12 twists. Twists can be done sitting down or standing up, whatever is best for you. I'm going to do 12 seated twists, counting by twos. Will you practice counting with me? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Now, I have forgotten to check in with Fig. I'm sorry about that, Fig. But maybe you noticed that Fig is standing here with their arms up over their head in an interesting shape. Do you see how they are moving their arms? Will you try that? Maybe you already know the move that Fig is showing us. We are going to be doing 20 of them. Oh, arm stretches, that feels nice. We're going to be doing 20 of them. So again, we'll be counting by twos. And each time we'll switch our arms. So we'll do one arm, then the other. Similar to twists, you can do this sitting or standing, whatever feels best for you right now. Let's do 20 overhead arm stretches. Thanks, Fig. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, halfway, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. Awesome job. And last but not least, we have 21 moves to do. And maybe you already know, but 21 has a 1 in the ones place. And that tells me that it is an odd number. I cannot take this 1 without changing it and share it equally. And so we are not going to count by twos for this number. We'll count by ones. Maybe you feel a little more confident counting by ones. That's cool. If you don't yet, that's okay. Now's a great time to practice. This last move is something we get to do standing or sitting again. And they are called knee ups. And you'll want to bring your knee all the way up to meet your hand, which should be close to in line with your shoulder, maybe a little bit lower. And you'll try to bring them up as high as you can so they touch gently. Let's do 21 knee ups, counting by ones. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Fantastic. Now, I mentioned earlier that we'll be practicing breathing together, and you may already know that I always like to take 3 cool down breaths after an exercise or workout. And this helps me just calm my body, lower my heart rate, and get ready for my next step. So if you'd like to breathe with me, You can listen for a bell, and once you hear it, take a big breath in, and then slowly let it out. Let's breathe. Awesome. I'm feeling calmed down and hope you are too. Let's get ready for our next step together, and that is to hear a bit more about that special day that's happening tomorrow for people in the Northern Hemisphere. Some people describe this day that happens on December 21st as the shortest day of the year, or the longest night of the year. Do you know what it's called? Winter Solstice. Yeah, Winter Solstice is a day that occurs when our Earth, which is on a tilt, is tilted the furthest that it will be tilted from the sun all year. So that's why we have the longest night or the shortest amount of daylight during it. And there are lots of different ways that people celebrate winter solstice. We're going to talk about some of them in our message. You might already know that one of the traditions or rituals that we have together is to look for alliterations. And that is when there are two words or more than two words next to each other with the same starting sound or letter. So be on the lookout in my message. Dear cool kids, do you and your family have any favorite rituals, traditions, or practices to celebrate winter solstice? Maybe you don't yet, but you'd like to try some soon. Either way, there are lots of ways we can recognize this moment in time and cherish the fact that winter is here. How have you enjoyed winter in the past? Some people put puzzles together, cozy up with cocoa, or pounce playfully in the snow. I'm excited to share some other activities you might want to try too. Love, Mrs. A. Were you able to spot any alliterations? It's okay if you haven't found them yet. I'll give you a hint. There is a double, that means two, a double alliteration that starts with the sound P. Go ahead and search for it. Pounce playfully. Yes, pounce playfully in the snow. And I wanted to point out that alliteration because we are going to talk about some activities or things you might want to try. And some of them have to do with snow. And I'm really excited to share these books with you. This first one here is something you might want to try. It is actually a tradition of mine to read this book every winter. And it is called The Jacket I Wear in the Snow by Shirley Knitzel, with pictures by Nancy Winslow Parker. And in this book, there is a pattern. And the pattern starts in this first page. It says, "This is the jacket I wear in the snow." And then it talks about another part or another thing about the jacket or the things that you wear in the snow. This is the zipper that's stuck on the jacket I wear in the snow. And the pattern keeps growing and things keep getting added onto it. This is the scarf, woolly and red, that's caught in the zipper that's stuck on the jacket I wear in the snow. And as you go on, you'll see all of the different gear and different things that you might need to wear if you are going out in the cold or in the snow. And what's part of my tradition, as I mentioned, is to read this book every winter and think about all of the different parts, all of the different gear, all of the different things that help keep me cozy and warm and comfortable enough to go out in the cold winter snow. So maybe there's a book that you like to read every winter. Maybe you have a favorite hat or scarf that you are excited to take out every winter. Maybe you have a tradition that's similar to mine. The Jacket I Wear in the Snow, like I said, is one of my favorite books, and it's really fun to read and continue to add on all those things as you read, so be sure to check that out from your library or bookstore. Now, this next book is about something that I haven't tried before, but lots of people do this in the winter. And it is called Maple Syrup from the Sugar House. And it's written by Lori Lazaro Knowlton with pictures by Catherine Mitter. And I can see just from looking at the cover that there are lots of people involved in this story. And it looks like they are tapping into trees. I see a drill, I see buckets, and I see lots of snow on the ground with some footprints. And I really like this book because it teaches me and teaches us all about how we can get maple syrup. And so we follow a father and daughter here with a bunch of their friends and family members into the woods and to the sugar house to learn how to make maple syrup. And by make, I should really say collect, because maple syrup comes from trees. And if you zoom in close, you might be able to see there's a little spout coming out of that tree that someone has put there to help collect the syrup. And I really like this book because in the back, it tells us some marvelous maple syrup facts. And it says the history of making maple syrup is older than the United States. Native Americans or indigenous people have gathered maple tree sap in wooden buckets and used heated rocks to boil down the sap to make syrup. And there are lots of different places that you can visit, or maybe you live in, where you can collect maple syrup. Places in Canada and the United States, states like Connecticut, Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Kentucky, Maine, Maryland, Massachusetts, Michigan, Minnesota, Missouri, New Hampshire, New Jersey, New York, North Carolina, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, Tennessee, Vermont, Virginia, West Virginia, and Wisconsin. And there are Canadian provinces that produce maple syrup too, like New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, Ontario, Prince Edward Island, and Quebec. So it looks like there are a lot of places in North America where you can get maple syrup, or maybe you could go out and practice harvesting or collecting maple syrup. And there are a lot more facts in the back of this book, but I really love this story that teaches me more about an activity or event that people do in the winter time. Something that they do every year, a tradition, like collect maple syrup. And this last one is called The First Day of Winter, and it's by Denise Fleming. And I wanted to share a little bit with you here because I love how this story reminds me of another tradition or ritual that I know lots of people like to do in the winter. Have you ever gone out to sing in the winter? Some people go visit their neighbors and sing carols. Some people go to their church and sing together. Some people just like to sing with their friends in their houses. And this book, The First Day of Winter, has a song that's written throughout it. And it also has these really great illustrations that make me feel like I am outside in the beautiful snow of the first day of winter. And it starts out by saying, on the first day of winter, my best friend gave to me a red cap with a gold snap. And I'm going to sing it because it reminds me of a song that I know called The 12 Days of Christmas. Maybe you know that one too. On the second day of winter, my best friend gave to me 2 bright blue mittens and a red cap with a gold snap. And if you keep going, you'll learn what else their friend gave to them and how else you can add on to this song. So it's a little bit similar to the jacket I wear in the snow in that there's a pattern that grows bigger and bigger. But it's a little bit different because it's a song. And so you can read this book just by reading it in a normal voice, or you can sing it and have a little bit of fun. And like I said, I know lots of people like to go out and sing in the winter time or go caroling and spread some joy that way. And so maybe singing is something that you and your family do, or something you'd like to inspire or encourage them to try this year. The First Day of Winter is a really fun book to read or sing as a family, so be sure to check that out. And last but not least, today, I'd like to share with you a mindful moment. We were talking earlier about how mindfulness can help change what zone we're in, or maybe help us feel a little bit more clear-headed or focused. And each time we're together, we practice a different type of mindful moment. Sometimes they are stretches or body moves. Sometimes they are breaths. Sometimes they are looking mindfulness activities. And today, we're actually going to try a listening mindfulness activity. And this mindful moment was inspired by the snow that we saw in a lot of these books. And maybe you get to experience snow where you are during the winter. And if you don't, that's okay. Maybe you've seen snow in movies or in books. But sometimes when we walk through snow, it makes a really interesting sound. And it's kind of a soft, quiet sound, but it kind of goes crunch, crunch, crunch. And so I thought we could try a mindful listening activity today, where we listen for a soft sound. So I'd like you to close your eyes if you're comfortable with that, or just look down. And I'd like you to listen for the softest sound around you. Think about how you would describe that sound. Before I described stepping in snow like crunch, crunch. So listen for your softest sound around you and think, how would you describe that? What do you think or what do you know is making that soft sound? Let's practice being mindful for 1 minute and listening and focusing on one soft sound. All right, my friends, did you hear a soft sound? Yeah, at first it was tricky for me to find one, but I mentioned that I'm feeling a little bit sick and tired, and so I was actually able to hear a soft sound from inside my body. I heard my heartbeat in my ears, and so I would describe that as a thump, thump, thump. What soft sounds did you hear, and will you describe them for me? Oh, some of you heard your cats making bed on the couch. That's a cool sound. Scratch, scratch. Maybe some of you heard the TV playing in another room really softly. There are lots of different sounds around us all the time. And a way we can practice being mindful is just pausing to listen to them and trying to focus on just one. So thank you so much for trying that out with me today. Friends, I'm so glad you joined me, and I hope you make it a great rest of the day. I want to send you off with some love if you want it, a hug if you'd like it, and I can't wait to see you next time.